Let's face it, the tech world moves at an absolutely insane speed. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. It's that simple. So today, we're going to break down 5 super simple daily habits that are going to keep your skills sharp and, keep your career right on that cutting edge.
So let's just kick things off with a number that should really get your attention. A recent report found that a whopping 40% of tech professionals, we're talking people just like you and me, are genuinely worried their skills will be totally outdated in just 3 years. This isn't some far-off problem. It's right around the corner.
So that leads us to the million-dollar question, right? With everything changing faster and faster, how do you actually stay ahead of the curve? How do you make sure you're not in that 40%? Well, this feeling actually has a name. It's called the skills obsolescence crisis. And the data? It shows this threat isn't just in your head. It's very real, and it's picking up speed. To really hammer this point home, the World Economic Forum predicts that by 2030, almost 40% of the core skills we all rely on today are just going to be outdated. The big takeaway here is that this isn't just about learning the next hot new framework. It's about a fundamental shift in what it even means to stay relevant in your career. Okay, I know that sounds pretty daunting. But what if the solution wasn't some grueling weekend-long coding bootcamp? What if it was something way smaller? Let's dive into what I like to call the 15-minute learning secret and see how a tiny daily investment can give you absolutely massive returns.
The secret weapon here is a powerful idea called microlearning, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You break down information into short, focused, bite-sized chunks. Seriously, think of it like learning in sprints, not these long, draining marathons. It's a whole approach that's designed to fit into your already busy schedule and work with your brain, not against it.
So why does this work so well? Well, it directly attacks something called the forgetting curve. It was discovered by a psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus, and his research was kind of shocking. It showed we forget half, literally 50% of what we learn within just 20 minutes. So all those long multi-hour study sessions you pulled?
Yeah.
Most of that knowledge just, poof, evaporated. Microlearning, with its daily reinforcement, basically short-circuits that whole process. And the difference this makes is just staggering. Look at this. Research shows that with microlearning, people hold on to about 80% of the information. Compare that to just 20% from traditional training. That is a 4 times improvement. This isn't a small tweak, my friend. It's a total game changer for learning effectively. And get this, it's not just about remembering things better. It's also about actually finishing what you start. These short microlearning modules see completion rates over 80%. Meanwhile, a lot of conventional courses are lucky if they hit 30%. And the reason's pretty simple, right? It's way easier to find 10 minutes in your day than it is to carve out 2 whole hours. All right, so we get the why. Microlearning works. Now for the fun part, the how. We've boiled this whole philosophy down into 5 daily power habits. Think of this as your practical, hands-on toolkit to make sure your skills never, ever go stale. Habit number 1 is so simple. Just read. Whether it's a big tech publication or a super niche engineering blog, it keeps you plugged into the pulse of the industry. And if you think you don't have time, just remember Bill Gates reads about a book a week to stay on top of new ideas. 10 minutes a day? That's all you need to get started. Okay, next up, habit number 2, write some code every single day, even if it's just for 15 minutes. It's like a musician practicing scales. This isn't about building some huge epic project. It's just about keeping your problem-solving muscles sharp. Just like this developer from the hashtag 100 Days of Code challenge said, it's those tiny, consistent steps that get you where you want to go. Habit 3 is all about leveraging your downtime. Listen to tech podcasts. Americans spend a collective 5.5 billion hours stuck in traffic. Can you imagine turning all that dead time, your commute, your workout when you're doing chores, into productive learning time? Podcasts are an incredible way to absorb new concepts while you're on the move. Habit number 4 is all about connection. You got to participate in tech communities. Learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. Spending just 10 minutes a day on places like Discord or Reddit not only exposes you to new ideas, but lets you ask questions and get unstuck way faster. And hey, it can even lead to opportunities you would never find anywhere else. And that brings us to the final habit, and honestly, it's the most powerful one of all. Teach what you learn. The data on this is just mind-blowing. We only retain a measly 5% from a lecture, but we retain an astounding 90% of what we teach to other people. The very act of explaining a concept to someone else forces you to truly master it.
Now, teaching sounds intimidating, but you don't need a classroom. Just use something called the Feynman technique. It's a really simple 4-step process. Try to explain a concept in super simple terms, like you're talking to a kid. The parts where you get stuck or start using a bunch of jargon, those are the exact gaps in your own knowledge. So you go back, fill those gaps, and then try to simplify your explanation again. It's such a powerful tool for building a deep, solid understanding.
So, okay, we have the 5 habits. But, knowing what to do is one thing. Actually doing it consistently is a whole other ballgame. So let's talk about a simple framework to actually make these habits stick.
And look, you don't have to do all 5 of these every single day. That's crazy. Here are 2 really simple ways to structure your 15 minutes. You could go for a deep focus approach. Just pick one habit and give it your full 15 minutes, then rotate each day. Or you could try a blended approach, maybe 5 minutes of reading and then 10 minutes of coding. The real key is just to find what works for you and your schedule.
And to make it sustainable, really lean on these 4 principles. First, set a specific time for it. Treat it like an appointment you can't miss. Second, start small. 15 minutes is perfect. Third, track your progress. Just jot it down. And finally, use something called habit stacking. This is awesome. You just link your new learning habit to something you already do every day. So for example, after I make my morning coffee, I will immediately code for 15 minutes.
Right about now, you might be thinking, come on, what can 15 minutes a day really do? Well, let's take a look at the incredible power of the compound effect. Let's see what your 1-year transformation could actually look like.
After just 1 month, you're already seeing real results. By 3 months, you're tackling way harder problems. And after 1 single year, your little 15 minutes a day has compounded into over 180 hours of focused learning. That is the same as 4 full work weeks of professional development, all done in these tiny, manageable chunks.
If you take only one thing away today, let it be this. Consistency always trumps intensity. That occasional 8-hour marathon study session is so much less effective than a consistent, daily 30-minute practice. It's the daily habit that builds real, lasting skill.
Look, the skills crisis is real, but the solution is totally in your hands. And it doesn't require some massive change to your life. It just requires a small, consistent investment in yourself. So the only question left is, your next 15 minutes? They start right now. What are you going to learn?